Relatives say that victim was out celebrating her birthday, which was this past Thursday, when she was shot and killed on the south side. She leaves behind 6 children, the youngest less than a year old.
Jamia Taylor had just turned 29. She was a mother of 6, a provider, a protector, and for once, she wasn't doing it for them. She was doing it for herself. She deserved that night, but she never made it home. She had planned this night for weeks. February 6th was her actual birthday, but with work and childcare, the real celebration had to wait until the weekend. Saturday night, February 8th. She arranged everything: babysitter, outfit, venue. She even posted the flyer online, inviting friends to come out and celebrate life with her. What she didn't know is that someone else saw it too. That someone else knew exactly where she'd be, what she'd be wearing, and when she'd be alone. At 5:18 a.m., security cameras show Jamia leaving the venue near East 79th Street in Chicago's South Shore neighborhood. Just minutes later, multiple 911 calls flood in. Shots fired. A woman down. She was found with a gunshot wound to the chest. Her phone was still in her hand. Her purse untouched. No sign of robbery. No sign of a struggle. Just silence and blood on the sidewalk. By the time the ambulance reached the University of Chicago Medical Center, Jamia Taylor was clinging to life. But less than an hour later, she was gone. A mother of 6, children ages 11 months to 12 years, vanished in an instant. And this wasn't some back alley deal gone wrong. It wasn't crossfire. It wasn't random. This happened after a birthday party. It happened in the open. And it happened to a woman who was known for working hard, keeping her head down, and doing everything she could to protect her kids. So what really happened outside that club? Was Jamia Taylor simply in the wrong place at the wrong time? Or did someone come there with one goal in mind? By the time Jamia Taylor was 29, she wasn't just a mom. She was the backbone of an entire household. 6 kids. No co-parent. No luxury of slowing down. Her mornings started before sunrise, and her days didn't end until long after midnight. She was the kind of woman who could make breakfast with a baby on one hip, pack lunches for 3 different schools, and still show up to work with a smile that made strangers assume everything was fine. It wasn't, but she kept going anyway. Her oldest was 12. Her youngest, not even a year old. That's diapers and middle school drama. Toddler tantrums and 6th grade science projects, all happening under the same roof. And she did it alone. By day, Jamia worked retail, customer service, on her feet all shift, dealing with people who didn't know she hadn't had a full night's sleep in years. And when that job ended, she didn't go home to rest. She changed clothes, grabbed a quick snack, if she had time, and headed to job number 2, working nights as a security guard. That job was about survival. Rent, food, school supplies, winter coats. It wasn't about ambition. It was about making sure her kids never felt the kind of scarcity she quietly lived through every single day. There were no breaks, no naps, no me time. She worked weekends. She missed birthday parties, her own included. Every dollar she earned went back into the household. But the world outside didn't always see that version of her. Online, she was known as Maya Dabadi. Confident, stylish, magnetic. Her selfies were full of personality. Her posts were full of humor and energy. To her growing social media following, she was the friend you wished you had. Always ready with a joke. Always camera ready. But that wasn't the whole picture. Offline, she was everything to 6 young lives. Jamia Taylor didn't have the luxury of separating her online presence from real-life responsibilities. She wore both faces at once. The confidence she posted on Facebook? It wasn't fake. It was forged from pressure. It was survival. Because the truth is, she didn't party every weekend. She wasn't outside like people thought. She was usually home, making sure homework got done and laundry piles stayed manageable. She took care of her kids' hair herself. She stayed up late helping with school projects and spent her breaks at work looking up dinner recipes on her phone. There was no team behind her. No family nanny. No rotating door of friends jumping in to help. It was just Jamia, and she handled it.
Because first of all, I'm just pretty as shit. I don't give a fuck. Because
her kids didn't just rely on her, they adored her. Family said she made their birthdays special, no matter how tight money was. If that meant baking cupcakes from scratch at 2 a.m. before a shift, she did it. If it meant skipping her own meal to make sure they ate, she didn't complain. People say parenting is hard. Jamia made it look possible. She worked, cleaned, fed, clothed, taught, loved, every single day. No complaints. No shortcuts. Her mother, Tyeasha, called her the glue. Friends said she never asked for help, even when she probably should have. Because for Jamia, asking for help felt like admitting she couldn't do it all. And she wanted to. She had to. There were 6 young eyes watching her every move. But maybe the most important thing about Jamia Taylor is that she never gave up her right to dream. Even when life was heavy, even when she barely had time to breathe. She talked about going back to school. She wanted a bigger apartment, one where the kids wouldn't have to share a room. She talked about safer neighborhoods. She had a list of goals scribbled into the Notes app on her phone. Jamia had every reason to collapse under the weight of it all. But she didn't. And that's the thing that gets lost when we talk about single mothers. Especially ones from working-class neighborhoods. Especially in cities like Chicago. People forget they're not just statistics. They're not just another name in the headlines. They're human. They're tired. But they still show up. Every single day. That was Jamia. She showed up for her kids when no one else did. She showed up for work when her body begged her not to. She showed up on social media when she needed to remind herself she still had a name that wasn't just mom. And for once, just this once, she decided to show up for herself. Her birthday wasn't just a party. It was a rare, sacred chance to breathe, to laugh, to be surrounded by music instead of crying toddlers, to feel like a person, not just a caretaker. She earned that night out. She needed it, and she planned it down to the last detail. But somewhere out there, someone else was watching that plan unfold. After years of working double shifts, coming home to feedings, homework, and nonstop demands, Jamia Taylor circled one date on the calendar and made it hers, Saturday, February 8th. That was going to be her night. Her real birthday had come and gone a few days earlier, February 6th, but there hadn't been time to celebrate. She spent that day just like every other, making sure her kids were good, showing up to work, putting everyone else first. But Saturday? That was different. That was her moment. She had planned ahead. Childcare was covered. Her mother, Tyeasha, had agreed to watch the kids overnight, an extremely rare ask for Jamia. She didn't like to burden anyone, but she trusted her mom. And more importantly, she knew the kids would be safe. That night was the kind of break she hadn't had in years. In the week leading up to the party, Jamia had been posting consistently on Facebook. She wasn't just excited, she was hyping it. Her friends knew it wasn't just another night out. This was going to be her one big night. A digital flyer made its rounds. Bold colors, her name at the center, the party details in full view. It listed the venue near East 79th Street. She posted it several times, tagging friends, urging people to come through. One of her captions read, "Leave your girlfriends at home. Saturday, I'm outside. It's a movie." She was excited, playful, loud about it. And why shouldn't she be? Jamia was the kind of person who didn't often get to be loud for herself.
Girl, no. I was just being bad for a hot quick second. But motherfuckers called me to my school, get off live and I'm penny.
She even addressed her followers directly in a short video, talking into the camera like she was FaceTiming a best friend. She joked, smiled, even clapped back at people who were hating in the comments. The dress she had picked out for the party? She had bought it specifically for this night. It was form-fitting, bold, and unapologetically hers. By 10 p.m., she was dressed and glowing. Hair laid, lashes perfect, nails done. She had pre-gamed at home with a couple of friends. Music up, drinks flowing, laughter bouncing off the walls. The kind of joy that's earned. The kind that only comes after weeks of planning and years of going without. Around midnight, the group made their way to the club. Rideshare booked. No risks. No driving. She wanted to be safe, be present, and enjoy every second. They arrived at the venue in Chicago's South Shore neighborhood, just off East 79th Street. The music was loud. The crowd was deep. It was one of those late-night scenes where everyone's in their element. Dancing, vibing, living. Jamia and her friends moved straight to the dance floor. No hesitation. She was all in. People who knew her came over to wish her happy birthday. Hugs, selfies, shots. Her outfit stood out. She stood out. For those few hours, she wasn't a single mother. She wasn't juggling bills. She wasn't on a shift, or folding laundry, or refereeing sibling fights. She was just Jamia, laughing, moving to the beat, finally free. But not everyone in that crowd was a friend. And while Jamia was dancing, someone else was waiting for the moment the party would end. It was just after 5:18 a.m. when Jamia Taylor stepped out of the club on East 79th Street. The crowd was thinning. The music still played inside, muffled by heavy doors and concrete walls. Outside, the street was quiet, cold, dimly lit. That transitional hour in Chicago where nightlife starts dying down and early risers haven't yet taken the streets. Security camera footage captured her walking alone, her breath visible in the frozen morning air. She pulled her phone out, paused, glanced down. Maybe she was checking her messages. Maybe she was calling a ride. We don't know what she saw, but something had changed. According to friends, Jamia had received several texts throughout the night. She ignored most of them, but in the final hour, her mood reportedly shifted. At one point inside the club, she was seen in what witnesses described as an intense conversation with someone near the bar. No raised voices, no fight, just a serious tone that didn't match the rest of her night. She told her friends she needed air, said she might leave early. They offered to walk her out. She told them it wasn't necessary. That was the last time they saw her alive. The security footage shows her heading toward the exit. She stopped to briefly speak to the club's bouncer, possibly asking about rideshare availability or the best way to safely exit the area. She wasn't staggering. She wasn't visibly distressed. She looked composed. Quiet maybe, but calm. Then, she disappeared from frame. 5:18 a.m. exactly. She turned right on a 79th. That's the last confirmed visual of Jamia Taylor alive. At 5:23 a.m., just 5 minutes later, multiple 911 calls came in. Gunshots reported in the same area. A woman was down on the sidewalk, unresponsive. Within 2 minutes, patrol officers, already in the area to monitor club closing traffic, arrived on the scene. They found Jamia lying face up near the curb. She had sustained a single gunshot wound to the chest. Her phone was still with her. So was her purse. Nothing had been taken. This wasn't a robbery. The responding officers began life-saving efforts immediately. They established a perimeter, secured the area, and flagged down emergency medical services. At 5:29 a.m., EMTs arrived. They took over care from the officers, attempting to stabilize her as quickly as possible. Her vitals were weak. Blood loss was significant. They managed to get her into the ambulance and transported her to the University of Chicago Medical Center, lights and sirens active. She arrived at the ER by 5:52 a.m. A trauma team was waiting, but the damage was catastrophic. The bullet had entered her chest at close range. It struck vital blood vessels. Internal bleeding was rapid. Despite every effort by the medical staff, Jamia Taylor was pronounced dead at 6:47 a.m. Less than 90 minutes after leaving the club, she was gone. The night that was supposed to mark another year of survival, a celebration of her life, ended inside a trauma bay, surrounded by strangers, under fluorescent lights. And her kids? Still asleep at their grandmother's house, unaware their world had already changed forever. Investigators returned to the scene immediately after her death was confirmed. They swept the area for evidence, canvassed nearby businesses, and reviewed additional surveillance footage. They found one shell casing near where she was discovered. Based on placement and trajectory, police believe the shooting happened exactly where she fell. There were no drag marks, no blood trail. That means she wasn't caught in crossfire. She wasn't shot from afar. She was confronted directly. The precision of it raised immediate questions. There was no hesitation, no struggle. One shot, deliberate. Whoever pulled that trigger knew exactly where to find her, and they didn't hesitate. Her outfit, once meant for celebration, was now part of the evidence log. Witness accounts began to trickle in. Some claim they saw a dark vehicle idling nearby moments before the gunshot. Others recalled a brief argument just before the sound rang out. One individual mentioned hearing footsteps, fast, immediately after. But no one could confirm who the shooter was. The street, once packed with clubgoers and ride-shares, was now quiet. A crime scene taped off before sunrise. Somewhere else, the news was being delivered to Jamia's mother, Tomanita Whitehorn. Officers arrived at her home just after 7:15 a.m. She was still caring for Jamia's 6 children, the same ones she had tucked into bed just hours earlier so their mother could have a night out. She opened the door expecting to see her daughter. Instead, she saw 2 uniformed officers with somber faces. Tanita collapsed. The day that began with plans to hand the kids back off to their mom ended with her planning her daughter's funeral. From the very start, investigators ruled out one possibility almost immediately. This wasn't random. Jamia Taylor wasn't mugged. Her phone and wallet were still with her. There were no signs of struggle. No one attempted to rob her. There was no chaos, just one shot, precise and fatal. Whoever pulled the trigger didn't come for her things. They came for her. So who would do this? And why? Let's look at the 3 possibilities that investigators and the public began circling, each one troubling in its own right. Some wondered, could this have been a stray bullet? A drive-by? Maybe she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But the evidence doesn't support that. Jamia was shot at close range. There was only one shell casing. No bystanders were harmed. No vehicles were hit. Police said the location of the bullet wound, the shell's position, and the timing all point to a deliberate confrontation. Not crossfire. Not chaos. This wasn't random. It was calculated. This is where the story starts getting complicated. Shortly after news of her death broke, a name started circulating online. Terry Lachey Bailey, also known on social media as Kidna Brooks. Not a stranger, not a bystander, but reportedly, the new girlfriend of Jamia's ex, the father of one of her children. Rumors began to swirl that there had been tension between the 2 women. Online jabs, subtweets, maybe even past confrontations. Then came the speculation that this wasn't a spontaneous shooting, but a setup. People pointed to the flyer Jamia had posted about her birthday party. The location, the time, even her outfit had been publicly shared. If someone wanted to find her, they wouldn't have had to look far. Witnesses online alleged there had been an argument at the club, or just outside, before the shooting. Some claimed the shooter waited for Jamia to walk out alone before making a move. Others suggested the motive was jealousy, a grudge tied to a man Jamia may not have even been involved with anymore. But what's real and what's speculation? And here's a more painful question. If this was over a man, how does that justify the execution of a mother of 6? In 2025, your location is never really private. Jamia's party flyer was posted days in advance. Her Facebook was public. She went live on her birthday. She shared her mood, her excitement, her plans, and she wasn't wrong to do that. She deserved to celebrate. She deserved to feel proud. But here's the dark truth. When you post about where you'll be, when, and with whom, you're not just informing friends. You're also giving that same information to anyone who has a problem with you. No passwords needed. No hacking required. Just screenshots and timing. How many of us have posted our location in real time? Said we're outside or at the spot before we even get there. Most of us don't think twice. But in Jamia's case, that digital trail may have led her killer straight to her. It begs the question, in an age where our lives are online, What are we risking every time we hit post? Despite all the rumors, all the speculation, and even an arrest, here's the most disturbing part. The official investigation says very little. Police haven't released key footage. The motive has never been publicly confirmed. And to this day, there are pieces of this puzzle missing. Conversations that only the people closest to the situation truly understand, and that the public may never hear. And the silence? It's deafening.
No, it still feels like a dream. All of it seems like it's a dream.
By mid-morning in Jamia's mother's home, family members had already begun to arrive. Word had spread fast. Grief travels like wildfire in communities already stretched thin. Aunts, cousins, longtime friends. Some came in silence, others came sobbing. No one knew what to say, and nothing needed to be said. In one room, 6 children moved through the morning with blank faces, trying to understand why the energy in the house had shifted, why the adults were whispering, why no one had turned on cartoons or made breakfast yet. The older ones understood faster, but even they struggled to process the finality. The younger ones kept asking if their mom was still out, if she was coming to pick them up like she said. Outside, more cars arrived. Neighbors brought food. People from the church came with folded arms and heavy eyes. Everyone said the same thing. She didn't deserve this. Jamia's Facebook page, where she'd posted her party flyer just days earlier, turned into a digital memorial overnight. Birthday wishes posted on the 6th now sat above candle emojis and heartbroken messages. Friends posted photos, voice notes, and status updates filled with disbelief. You were just laughing on live. I can't believe this. I was just with you. Even people who hadn't spoken to her in months came forward, because no one expected her name to be in the headlines. Offline, the shock was even more raw. Her close friends replayed videos from the night, wondering if they missed something. Family members tried to find the right words for the kids, words that didn't exist. And Tyeasha, her mother, moved room to room trying to hold everyone up, even while breaking down inside. She had to make an impossible decision. How do you tell a child their mother is never coming home? What words do you use when the truth isn't just tragic, it's permanent? And then there were the quieter questions, the kind that broke Tyeasha's heart all over again. Can I still call her phone? Can we go get her now? When is mommy coming back? She couldn't answer any of them, because even she didn't understand why her daughter was taken.
What my grandbaby's gonna do? They don't understand what's really going on, and it's gonna be hard that their mom is not here.
From that moment on, everything changed. Tyeasha didn't just lose her child. She inherited 6 more full-time responsibilities, each of them grieving in their own way. Crying at night, acting out, holding it in. The weight of trauma doesn't land all at once on kids. It settles slowly, in questions, in confusion, in silence. And through it all, Tyeasha has stepped in, not just as grandma, but now as mom. The case didn't go cold immediately. Less than 2 weeks after Jamia Taylor was gunned down outside a South Shore nightclub, Chicago police made an arrest. The name released shocked many, but not everyone. Tyeasha Bailey, known online as Kidna Brooks, was taken into custody and charged with first-degree murder. She wasn't some unknown suspect. She wasn't a masked stranger. She was a woman from the same community, a mother of 3 children herself, and according to social media accounts and community speculation, she wasn't just connected to Jamia. She was reportedly in a relationship with Jamia's ex, the father of one of her children. The arrest was public. The connection wasn't hard to find. People online were already piecing it together before the official announcement was made. Old Facebook arguments, screenshots, posts laced with subliminal messages, comments that seemed innocent until Jamia was killed. That's when everything changed. The narrative flipped. People weren't just mourning. Now they were angry. They wanted to know, what could drive a woman, another mother, to do something like this? But here's what we have to be clear about. Tyeasha Bailey was arrested and charged, but no trial has taken place. No conviction has been made. She's currently being held. The case is ongoing. And at the time of this script, there's been no official statement about motive from CPD. So we need to separate what's known from what's speculated. The only person listed publicly as a person of interest is Jamia's ex-boyfriend, Terrence Reed, the father of one of her children. He hasn't been arrested. He hasn't been charged, but he's being looked into. What his exact relationship was with both women remains unclear. Whether he played a role in escalating the situation or was simply caught between two volatile dynamics is still unknown. What we do know is this. Terry Bailey allegedly showed up near the venue the night Jamia was killed. Jamia had posted her location. She was walking outside alone, and 5 minutes after she stepped off camera, she was shot dead. Multiple social media users later claimed they saw Bailey at the club that night. Others claimed Jamia had been threatened before. There were rumors of past fights, social media shade, tension going back months. But again, none of that has been confirmed by law enforcement. Chicago PD has kept the case details tight. So everything outside the charging document? Still just noise. Painful, messy noise. And here's the part that makes it harder to accept. This wasn't just a murder. This was a public execution in front of a community. Surveillance cameras were rolling. Phones were out. There were dozens of witnesses inside and outside that venue. And yet, we still don't have a complete timeline. There's no known murder weapon recovered. No confession publicly released. The community was split. Some were certain justice was on the way. Others were skeptical. Still others were just tired. Tired of violence. Tired of watching young mothers disappear, either to caskets or jail cells. But there's one thing everyone could agree on. This never should have happened. And if the rumors are even halfway true, that this was over a man, over social media drama, over jealousy, then we're not just talking about one tragedy. We're talking about a cycle. How many women have died over men who moved on without consequence? How many mothers are now gone because of internet beef that spiraled offline? And how many more lives will be stolen before anyone learns something from this? The arrest of Terry Lachey Bailey gave the case a face, but it didn't bring peace, and it didn't bring closure. Because the truth is, most of Jamia Taylor's story still lives in the shadows. Why she was really targeted, who made the plan, who pulled the strings, and what her final moments felt like. Out there, alone, on a frozen sidewalk, waiting for a ride that never came. By the end of 2024, Chicago had recorded over 300 homicides. It's a number most people scroll past. A figure on a news graphic. A city problem. A them problem. Something that happens to strangers in neighborhoods people only drive through with the doors locked. But behind that number are names. Mothers, fathers, brothers, daughters. And Jamia Taylor? She's one of them now. She wasn't involved in crime. She didn't sell drugs. She wasn't in a gang. She wasn't living recklessly or putting herself in dangerous situations. She was a working-class mom with 2 jobs and 6 children. Her biggest risk was taking one night off for her birthday. And for that, she died. Let that sit for a second. Chicago is no stranger to grief. But the type of grief that's become common here isn't natural. It's not the kind that follows old age or illness. It's the kind that's man-made, triggered by bullets, fueled by silence, and made worse by a justice system that moves too slowly or not at all. In 2024, homicide clearance rates in Chicago hovered around half. That means for every 2 people killed, only 1 case sees an arrest, maybe. And for the communities most affected, Black, working class, under-resourced, the odds drop even lower. It's not just Jamia. It's the pattern her death fits into. A young woman, loved, struggling, strong, trying to survive a city that promises nothing but demands everything. She didn't die because she was careless. She died because violence has become predictable here, and that should scare all of us. How many more mothers have to go out for a night and not come back? How many more kids have to learn what a funeral is before they've finished elementary school? Jamia Taylor's story shouldn't be a statistic, but the city she lived in made her one. Not because she failed it, but because it failed her. Failed to protect her. Failed to catch the signs early. Failed to stop a cycle that's stolen too many futures to count. 6 children. That's who Jamia Taylor left behind. Not by choice, not by accident, but because someone made a decision that night, and that decision didn't just take her life. It tore through everything she had built. The youngest is barely learning to talk. The oldest now carries a weight no 12-year-old should ever bear. They go to school. They come home. They ask questions. Why did someone take my mom? What do we say to them? Do we talk about jealousy? About the system? About how sometimes the people who say they love you are the same ones who bring the most danger to your door? Or do we avoid it? Pretend she just went away? The truth is, Jamia Taylor did everything right. And now, her children are left trying to make sense of a world that took their everything and gave no explanation in return. They don't want justice hashtags. They want their mother. And the only thing we can give them now is the truth and the memory of who she really was. If Jamia's story stayed with you, don't just scroll past it. Like this video to help more people see her name. Leave a comment. What would you say to her kids if you had the chance? And if you want more stories that go deeper than headlines, subscribe to True Crime Undercover and tap the notification bell so you never miss when we speak their names again. Because Jamia Taylor lived for her children, the least we can do is make sure the world remembers she lived.